Hello, everyone. The story I'm sharing today isn't about cheating or betrayal, it's about something else. Something far more terrifying: the silence that comes too soon, the words that are left forever unspoken. This story is my confession, and I apologize for every tear it might bring, but it is a story that needs to be told. My name is Anna. His name was Alex. We didn't meet in a bar or at university. We met in the waiting room of an oncology center. My mother was fighting cancer. His father was fighting it too. We were two lonely islands of fear and hope in those endless, sterile hallways that always smelled of antiseptic. We drank the same terrible vending machine coffee, sat in silence next to each other for hours. And one day, he simply reached over and held my hand. His palm was so warm and steady against my icy, trembling one. Somehow, against all odds, both our parents went into remission. And we stayed together. Our love was born from the darkest place, and because of that, it felt unbreakable. We didn't take a single sunrise for granted. A simple walk in the park felt like a miracle. We built a beautiful, quiet life together, forever bonded by the shadow we had narrowly escaped. After 5 years, we were happy. We had good jobs, a small apartment filled with books and light, and a life built on inside jokes and shared quiet moments. But the trauma of our past never truly left us. We were both haunted by the fear of loss. This fear made me difficult. I needed constant reassurance. If Alex was 15 minutes late from work without texting, my mind would spiral into a panic, convinced he was in a ditch somewhere. I would pick fights over nothing, just to hear him say he loved me, to feel the reassurance of his voice. I was so terrified of losing him that I was constantly testing the very bond I cherished. Alex, the rock who had held my hand in that hospital, began to withdraw. My anxiety was a weight he didn't know how to carry. He started working later. He became quieter. The man who once shared everything now just said, "I'm fine," with a tired smile. The arguments became more frequent. One night, after a stupid fight about forgetting to buy milk, I said the worst thing I could ever imagine. "You're just like your father, withdrawn and cold." The moment the words left my mouth, I wanted to swallow them back. His father's emotional distance during his illness had been a deep wound for Alex. His face went blank. He didn't yell. He just looked at me with a sadness so profound it sucked all the air out of the room. "I need some air," he said quietly and walked out. He didn't come back that night. The next morning, my anger had turned to shame. I must have called his phone 100 times. It went straight to voicemail. I was preparing 100 apologies when my doorbell rang. It wasn't Alex. It was two police officers. There had been an accident. A driver had run a red light. Alex's car was T-boned. He was gone. Instantly, they said, he didn't suffer. The world didn't just stop. It shattered into a million microscopic pieces. The sound that came out of me wasn't human. It was the sound of a soul being torn in two. The last words I had spoken to him were cruel. The last thing he felt from me was anger. The guilt was a physical pain, a boulder on my chest that made it impossible to breathe. A week later, I was a ghost, sorting through his things at his apartment, moving through a nightmare. I found his journal in a drawer. With trembling hands, I opened it. The last entry was from the night he left. "Another fight with Anna. I'm so tired. I don't know how to reach her. I got the results from the doctor today. The headaches. It's a glioblastoma. The same thing my dad had, stage 4. They give me a year, maybe less. How do I tell her, after everything her family went through? How do I put her through that again? I'd rather she hate me than watch her watch me die. I need to find a way to make her let me go. It's the only way to spare her." He wasn't withdrawing because he was tired of me. He was withdrawing to protect me. He was carrying the unimaginable weight of his own death sentence, and I was screaming at him for forgetting milk. He walked out that door not angry, but heartbroken, believing he was doing the one thing he could to save me from a pain he knew all too well. My scream, when it came, was silent. The guilt didn't just crush me, it annihilated me. He died thinking I hated him. He died shouldering his burden entirely alone, to protect me. I never got to say I'm sorry. I never got to say goodbye. I never got to hold his hand and tell him he wouldn't be alone. The last word I ever said to him was spoken in anger. The last word I should have said was, I understand. I live with that every day. I share this story not for sympathy, but as a warning, a plea. Please don't let fear write your story. Don't let assumptions be your truth. If you love someone, tell them, even when you're scared. Especially when you're scared. Because silence isn't just golden, sometimes it's the most tragic final prison of all. Forgive them. Forgive yourself. Say the words, thank you for listening.